I think you ought to know about Men's Radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's Men's Radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's Radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
And a very good afternoon to you. It has just gone midday on Friday, the 23rd of December, 2022. Yes, this is the Daily Show right here live on Men's Radio Station and, of course, on a couple of other outlets as well, including we're just everywhere. Do you know what I mean? We're all over the place, really. Deluxe Radio as well, radio waves. We're all over the place. Anyway, a very good afternoon. You may notice that there is something distinctly different about this edition of the Daily Show so far, in so much as that there is no Russ Kane here. It is very much me flying solo at the moment. Now, I have to tell you, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I spoke with Russ, I think it was yesterday, the day before. Russ has made it no hidden secret. He currently has COVID. He's not feeling terribly chipper. So if he is joining us, he hasn't told me he is, but he's warned me that I may have to fly solo. So if you will tolerate me flying solo for at least the first half an hour before we're joined by the marvelous Chantal Rickards, then might I suggest that you hang on in there and bear with us all the same. Now, Chantal, by the way, has very kindly told me that the microphone's going in and out. Not entirely sure what that would be the case of, so I apologise. Apologise as that's the case. I'm not quite sure what that is. I will try and look into it if I can. But I am live, so hopefully it will correct itself all the same. Anyhow, thank you very much indeed. Sue Sleet, by the way, messages straight away and says, Happy Christmas to everyone at MRS. Thank you very much indeed for that, Sue, and to your good self and your family as well. Julie Voice says, good morning from a frozen Houston, where it's -9 degrees. Oh my gracious me. Do you know what, Julie, I can sympathize with that because I was visiting a friend last week who lives in Cheltenham. And in Cheltenham last weekend, it got down to -10. It was absolutely freezing. Yeah, so I can totally sympathize with that. Wrap up warm, for heaven's sakes. Eve Phantom, I'm so sorry, Eve, I can't do the voice like Russ does it, because otherwise I have no voice, and that won't work very well for the next half hour. But anyway, Eve Phantom all the same says, hello, Phil. Hello, Eve. Thank you very much indeed. And Luke Newman says, good afternoon, everyone. Stay safe and warm this festive period, and I wish you all the best for 2023. Luke, thank you very much indeed. I think, Chantal, I've realized what it is with the microphone is because I rock back and forth when I talk, and I feel like maybe the microphone doesn't actually pick me up all the time. So maybe I'll just stay put, and then it will pick me up, hopefully. Anyway, between now and past, I want to have a conversation with you, okay? I want to have a conversation about something that is very pertinent to MRS, to Men's Radio Station, but also something that I grapple with as well. And I just wondered if it's just me. I wonder whether or not if you've ever experienced something like it, and just thought it'd be good to get your thoughts on that. David Wimble, by the way, says, hi, Phil, not trying to do one-upmanship, but on Monday morning as we head back from the Ukraine border, it was -16. Well, do you know what, David? The fact that you've been to Ukraine as well, I think, is the one-upmanship. So congratulations with everything you've done over there. Absolutely inspirational work. Bravo, sir. And yes, please come back in one piece. So there you go. Thank you very much indeed. Chrissy Richards, sure enough, sound is not very good. It's rattling. Oh dear. What am I going to do about this, peeps? I've only got one microphone. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. It's going to be terrible trouble. We'll rattle through and see what hopefully happens. So what I was going to speak to you about is that it's around about this time of year where, for me, emotions start running absolutely wild. I don't mean emotions as I start sort of laugh and cry and all that malarkey. I mean emotions in the head. So maybe sort of a case of feeling happy one moment, feeling sad the next, because as I reflect on the year that's gone by, I think to myself, oh, hello, what's this about? Sort of what have I done? Have I achieved what I wanted to achieve in the past year? And the truth is, more often than not, no, I haven't. I'm not saying I haven't achieved some things I wanted to, but not always. So it does sometimes once in a while depend. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to switch microphones though, because there are a few people saying sound is not very good. So bear with me if I hopefully do that. Hopefully people will start telling me now the sound is better. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. I'll live in hope. We'll see what happens, I suppose. Anyhow, right, what I was trying to say is that the emotions that I sort of experience at this time of year are very much roller coaster, because obviously I find it's exciting, you know, the thought of a new year, new start and all of that, and that's all good. However, there's also this notion of, what did I do? And not to mention, I think that sort of as a country, we've had a very tough year and a very sad year. And so as a result of it, I'm wondering how this makes you feel. Is it just the time of year? Do you agree? Have you experienced something like this? And I suppose my question is, how do you deal with your emotions at this time of year? That's basically sort of what we're trying to get at and what I'd like to get at. So if you are inclined to join in the conversation, then that would be much appreciated. I'm very much hoping that I'm trying to resolve the sound issues live on air, as you can probably tell from the distraction. So I'm hoping that all is okay. And you must excuse me because I did not realize that there was a problem with the sound. Because normally you must be surprised to hear that if Russ and I speak to each other before the show actually starts, that we would then turn around and we would say to each other, oh, right, your sound doesn't sound quite right. So would you be able to do something about it? Anyway, I've adjusted it. I hope it's okay. So bear with me. Ramsey says, happy Christmas, everyone. Due to the cost of living crisis, we will be having a Brexit Christmas dinner. It's the same as a normal Christmas dinner, but with no Brussels. Very good, Ramsey. We like that. Thank you very much indeed. Sounds splendid to me. Anyway, I can't stand Brussels, and you interpret that however you want to. Anyhow, as far as emotions are concerned, how do you combat and deal with your emotions at this time of year? Is it the same for you? Are you quite reflective? Do you think to yourself, yeah, okay, there's a chance for a fresh start. The next year is going to be much better for me. Or do you think to yourself, no, it's not great. I tell you what spurred this conversation, okay? It was, I had a situation at work, right, where an opportunity for work came up. And it was a particular part of work that I always wanted to do and have a go at doing. And I'm delighted to say I was given the chance. However, there was someone with less experience than me who was given a better chance, given another chance or same. And actually, it made me feel, as much as I know that we're always told jealousy is a vile emotion, but it made me a bit green-eyed monster, if I'm honest. I thought to myself, hang on a second, I've got more experience. Why am I not being given that opportunity? And I also know that in life, if you overanalyze stuff, this is what fascinates me about the world in which we live in, is that people overanalyze everything in this day and age. They look in such depth. And as they do that, our brains, I hate to say this, are not geared towards thinking too much. I know that sounds terrible, but it's kind of true. We're just not built for that. Anyway, so I was thinking to myself that why was it that someone else was given an opportunity that I wasn't given? And I found myself getting quite grumpy about it, if I'm honest. But let's someone say, oh, hang on a sec. Did someone say there's an annoying noise in your broadcast? That's a bit harsh. I think you're doing a great job. Ramsey, I see what you did there. Thank you very much indeed. Quite all right. No, it's fine. I think what they're referring to is the sound quality, which I can only apologize for, by the way. I'm not able to hear what the problem is with the sound quality. So you must excuse me if I will persevere all the same. And I'm hoping that because I haven't had anyone recently complain about it, that it is better and it is audible now. But we live in hope. Hey, it's live radio, peeps. This is how it goes down. Anyway, what I was saying is that when I saw this other person being given this opportunity that I was really after, I thought, oh, hang on a second, that's not fair. Why have I not been given that chance? And then, of course, you start going through all of this emotion thinking, is it something I did? Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I'll never be good enough. And I'm not saying that, by the way, to get a pat on the back. Please don't spare me that. Spare me the blushes, because I really hate anything like that. But it's much more about how your mind can run away with itself. And I think it happens more than ever at this time of year. So that's why I want to know, how do you deal with emotions at Christmas time? And as I say, I think in particular this time of year it's quite poignant because people think to themselves, oh, it's the close of one chapter, the beginning of another. And actually, I was quite ashamed because yesterday I had some really, really horrible news, right? Really, really awful news about someone that I used to know. And I found out that about a month ago, they died in a car accident. Now, this was a complete shock to me. To be fair, I hadn't spoken to this person for quite a few months. I'd say probably since the beginning of this year. But ghastly surrounding the situation surrounding this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's never ever pleasant, that kind of news. But in particular, the circumstances building up to this were particularly horrible. And it's irrelevant. But the point is that it's someone I know or knew. And as a result of it, it made me think to myself, all of this complaining that I'm doing inside my mind about Christmas and what I wanted out of it and what I didn't get out of it. And wouldn't it be exactly the kind of problems that family who've lost somebody would wish was their only problem, not facing their first Christmas and New Year without this loved one who was killed in a car accident? So there are some things in this world that bring us back down to earth with a bum and remind us that actually the emotions that we battle on a near daily basis are actually half the time our own demons, and to others are completely and utterly not irrelevant, but they're minor, they're trivial by comparison. But I just think it's a really cruel twist of nature. It's so cruel the way that it makes us feel so bad about ourselves, and it's self-inflicted. It's actually self-inflicted to the point where we think to ourselves that, oh, this is terrible, my world's crumbling, it's not good, I'm so angry at myself, blah, blah, blah. And yet, actually, to anyone else, it's trivial, it's nothing. I just think it's absolutely fascinating. Now, curiously enough, I think we, before long, will be able to hear a familiar voice. We can't see anyone, but we can hear a familiar voice.
I don't know how familiar it's going to be. Because I tell you one thing, boy. I tell you one thing. You ain't going to see me today. I've done it audio only. Audio
so I see.
Only.
Well, dare I ask how you're feeling?
Absolutely effing awful.
Oh dear. Well, anyway, to anyone who's just tuned in and probably not realised, it's not the voice of God. It is indeed the voice of our very own Russ Kane.
Well, same thing, isn't it?
Well, quite. In MRS terms, it is. Were you that bored after 12 minutes? You thought, right, I've got to save this show.
No. Do you know what? Look at this. Oh, the love God is back and he sounds divine. I'll be around.
Let's see it. Lovely Denise.
I'll be around in 20 minutes.
I've been talking for 12 minutes, pouring my heart out. You say nothing.
I'm sorry.
He comes on and says hi, and then suddenly your conversation.
I tell you what it is. I thought there's no way I can be envisioned because I do actually look that bad. But as I've been climbing the walls for over a week, and it's our very last show of the year, and I couldn't let your little punim sit there on its lonesome and not be a nuisance. I felt the reason I was late actually. I've just had 2 telephone calls, one after the other, and everybody's ill. And
now, you know what? There is a staggering number of people who are unwell at the moment. It's bizarre.
It's unreal. It's a friend. I'm not going to say who this person is. So I have to give an anonymity. But just listen to this. A friend of mine's mother is elderly, obviously, and is in hospital, right? And her hands have turned physically blue because of the blood's not circulating properly, and they told him, "Oh, we're releasing her today." And he went, "What? What? Yeah, we're releasing her. We've sent a bed round to where this lady lives." And the guy's gone, "You can't do that. She can't move. She's got COVID. She can't use her hands. I don't care. You've sent a bed round. This is ridiculous." As I said, I'm not saying who it is for legal reasons, but this is they just want you out.
Well, I think in particular, at the moment they do. Hang on a second. That's not.
How did you do that? That's very clever.
There we go.
I don't know how you do these things. That's a genius thing to do.
At the moment, right? So, can we even do it? No, I can't swap it around, I'm afraid. Anyway, I think at the moment the problem is that they're trying to get as many people out of hospital as possible based on the nurses' strikes. They just don't have the staff to cope.
The bloody strike.
I know they don't have the staff to cope with the people there. So as a result,
where are you on this? Actually, we shouldn't even ask. I'm not going to ask you.
No, well, look, I can summarise it. Look, I've said it openly.
I'm not sure we should.
Well, let me put it this way: I've said it openly before, so it's no hidden secret. This is not going to come as a shock to anyone who's heard me talking about it. I'll make it very clear. I understand what the nurses are complaining about. I think that it's shameful for them to go on strike.
Well,
but they would argue
kind of shameful. They're not paid properly, isn't it? As well, it's very
it's shameful.
difficult.
Most people, no, but it's shameful. Most people in this world aren't paid properly. That's just a sad fact.
It's the thing is, most people. I do you know what? And I've thought about it a lot because obviously I'm bored out of my skull. I've been when I'm not coughing like I've smoked 80 woodbines a day since I was 12 behind the bike sheds. I know. I know. I know. Just crazy. It's I don't recommend this, by the way. Don't get it. You don't want it. And you, how come you're never ill? It's because it's not human. How come you're never ill?
Who? Me?
You. Who? I'm not talking to anybody else.
Me?
No, you. You're never ill. You're always well.
God, no, you're joking. Absolutely. I mean, I do. I'm very particular when it comes to germs. So
sure.
No, I know, but what I'm trying to get at is that people laugh it off.
Yeah.
No, I know, but people laugh it off. But there's a reason why I'm like it. It's because I'm very conscious of the fact that there's an awful lot of germs flying around. So I do all that I can.
It was in World War II. I know that was German.
I do all I can to try and prevent it wherever possible. However, I do recognise that it is quite an unusual, should we say, way to behave.
It's not really. It's a sensible way to behave.
But look, but at the same, I'm not saying it's foolproof. Absolutely, there are times. The main thing is that I'm very good at nursing myself. I will say that because I'm so focused on just getting better and making sure that I get on.
Do you have a little outfit with a little penny and everything? Do you have that? Are you more Hattie Jakes or? I'm
going to get the penny next year. I'm saving up for it. I've got the little hat.
Don't do it all in one go. There's a sort of you're channeling your inner Barbara Windsor.
I know.
I'm going to have to shut the door. Give me a second. I've got to shut the door because my.
Who are you, Larry Grayson?
Hey.
Okay, excuse him. I can't even see what he's doing now because he's not in vision. To anyone who has just, by the way, tuned in, you'll notice that there is a photo of our Russ Kane today and not his usual chirpy face because unfortunately he's not feeling too chipper. So as a result of it, he's off camera today. And this is radio in its finest because we're back to audio only. And I quite like that, actually. I wonder if I should try that. Should I try audio only as well and see if that works? Let's have a look and see. Elizabeth Green, by the way, says, oh, my God, don't get sick at Christmas. Nothing happens in hospital. Elizabeth, I really hope you're not suffering from personal experience. That's a horrible thought. And I very much hope that you are in fine fettle, even if you did tell me off for interrupting last week.
I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, there you go. Elizabeth Green also says, and it's Sunday this year, double whammy. Oh, I see. So in other words, on a Sunday, nothing happens.
Oh, what, Christmas Day?
Yeah.
Sunday.
Elizabeth.
It's a good chance my entire Christmas Day may now be cancelled. My situation's actually got worse. With more.
Lovely Demeter has responded to Elizabeth saying, Elizabeth Green, it's not that they do nothing in hospitals over Christmas and weekends. Correct. They do their very best that they can. They, nurses, doctors, all medical professionals, are understaffed.
Yes.
I have several relatives who are medical professionals, and they are beyond exhausted. You should try working 12-hour plus shifts with one short break you're not paid for, then criticise. Lovely. To be fair,
I'm with Lely on this,
No. I get it. I think, to be fair, I don't think Elizabeth was criticising the fact that nothing happens. I think she's trying to say, in other words, look, it's not a fun place to be at Christmas time in the usual way. I don't think for a second. I don't think for a second she was criticising the doctors and nurses. I'm fairly sure about that. Ramsey is admiring Ebony. Ebony is very handsome as a girl dog can be. So, that's good.
That's nice.
She's a fine specimen.
Yeah, she's my baby. She's so sick to death of it. I got to tell you, she's so sick to death of me. My God, there's only been her and me.
I do think I do think we need to introduce her to Cassie, though, don't we?
Oh, look at that! That's little happy face.
I know, right?
That's
And
hilarious.
Cassie's.
Well, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the little doggy. Is she? She settled down yet? She's still whining, crying.
Yeah, she's getting better. I tell you actually how more relaxed she is, because
Tell David Wimble to go and shove the entirety of the beach where he lives, rock by rock, up his posterior. Please tell him that from me.
Is that where the expression rock bottom comes from?
That's where it comes from. Yeah, it's not all. I don't think Wimble's all he's cracked up to be. Harsh, Wimble, but true. Wimble's back. He went to the borders of the Ukraine.
Yeah, he was just telling us.
Zelensky, met him there. Said you're doing it. No, he didn't.
Now look, I know, Russell. I know you're a petrol head.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally.
I got a new toy yesterday.
I saw the pictures. I commented on it.
Yeah, I know.
It's gorgeous. There's a couple of things I want to talk to you about this.
Oh, yes.
As it's the last show. The interior, you've got the digital if you're listening on the Wimble extravaganza, Phil always gets minis, keeps them 3 years and throws them away, basically.
You make it sound so harsh. Anyway.
Well, that's what you do. And it's great. And you love your minis, except I haven't had a mini since I was 17, 18, the original ones. Here's the thing I want to ask. You've got the digital dash, which is very cool. Somebody pointed that out.
I've got to tell you about that digital dash.
And also, you've got mood lighting. Isn't that cool?
Now, to be fair, the minis have had mood lighting for the last few versions. Yeah, for the last few versions I've had it. But let me tell you something about that digital dash, because this is going to sound like first world problems, believe me. But I'm just saying.
Here we go.
One of the reasons why the car was I was supposed to get the new car in September, right? And get the violin out. And I only managed to pick it up yesterday. And the reason why is because that there's such a delay in manufacturing with all cars, but it's not just Mini. Loads of cars are having this problem. My sister recently changed her car. They had to wait over a year for it.
She had to wait, but she drives a Lamborghini. What do you want?
If you knew how far from the truth that was, you'd find it even more funny.
I don't know your sister. You've kept away from me. It's probably
it's probably for the best, but for both of your sakes.
She's nothing like you.
This is very true. There's only one Phil Dave I can confidently say.
Yeah.
But that will be eternally great. Oh dear. Right now. So what I was going to say. Let me get rid of that banner. It says, "How do you emotions at Christmas?" So I was saying that the reason why the car was delayed is because that digital dash that you speak of, the chips that control it, there's a major shortage of them worldwide. As a result of it, there's a serious backlog in orders. Isn't that nice? The thought of that. A machine that costs that much, well, not that much. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's for a car nowadays, it's quite average price. But let's think for an average car that cost X amount of money to have a backlog on order. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't
Wouldn't that be so nice to say that you got a backlog of people wanting that kind of machine?
Yeah,
anyway,
nice.
Anywho, so the point is that machine, unfortunately, sort of had a little bit of an issue with one of the components, and finally. What
are they waiting for? Is it the micro? It's the processors, isn't it? Whatever they.
Yeah. Well, what they were going to do to speed up the process, would you believe, is they were going to bung in an old component.
And you said, I'm not having something from an Austin
Allegro. No. To be fair, I actually said yes to it. But I wanted to be fair. I actually said yes to it because I thought to myself, do you know what? Okay, I'll give it a shot. Why not? Indeed, I'm not the only one with this problem. And frankly, what's the worst that happens? Maybe I could turn back to them and say, okay, well, now you've got it. Can you please wire in the correct components? I don't know. But anyway, all the same, I agreed to it. And as a very pleasant surprise, they actually had cleared some of the backlog. So much so that a friend of mine who took delivery of his Mini only a few weeks ago has still got that old component. And he looked at it and he went, how the hell have you got the new one?
Is that instead of an engine, they give you a horse and you just...
That's right. Yes, it's the horsepower.
The horse pulls you along.
It's true.
You hope for the best.
It's really 3 brake horsepower.
Nice. I because I'm 1,000 years old, the first Mini we had, OPA 970D. If you don't know, D is 1966. It was not new when we got it, right? Oh, bless you, Penny. Thank you. I'm sitting here. You won't see me because, but at least I'm doing my best. Bless you. Thanks, Pen. 1966. This was the original Mini, which had outside door hinges, sliding windows. If you're of a certain age and had one of these, the memories will come flooding back. So you had the what they're called. They're called the suicide door locks because they faced forwards, but they were a point. All right. So you got outside door hinges that were physical. You had sliding windows. There was no door handle inside. It was a cord. It was literally
the rope, the pull rope.
Yeah, it was a cord. The window washers, the windscreen washers. This got me. Was a button on the floor that you had to. You had to press. There was no like electric thing. You had to press it, and it was just like the force of you forcing it would force the water out. And if it rained, the Mini would stop because the distributor cap in Alec Izagonis's genius design, it was magnificent. It was groundbreaking, but the distributor cap was behind the physical radiator. The water would come in, and your car would stop. It was just great. I loved that little car. I absolutely bloody loved that little car. It was just great. It was just great because I was crazy.
Elizabeth Green. My first car was a Morris Minor. I think Savile had something similar. His was a minor called. Actually, never mind. Right. Okay.
Oh, that's disgusting, pervert. And this is from Leslie Demise. My first Mini was.
There are some things I can't say on national radio. There are some things I keep to MRS. I just let me get it out the system, for God's sake.
I know.
Sorry, Chantal.
This is good. My new car had a few features missing due to the lack of chips. So no VR, VR, virtual reality? Can't be that. Can't be virtual reality.
I've just tried to work out a way of
take
getting all
my
three of us
picture
on
off. So
screen
it's just
together.
take my.
What I was going to say, I think I'm going to have to. Sorry about
that.
That's
fine. It's much better. It's much better.
Hi,
You.
Hello.
She hasn't even got out of bed. She just wrapped a blanket around us. Right, couldn't made an effort.
I have to tell you, this is very freaky hearing your voice and not seeing you. It's weird.
I feel like you're keeping you see me.
You know what? I tell you what this is.
So disgusting. I can't.
No. I tell you what this is. Like. Yeah, but you said it was to do with COVID. Anyway, but this. Right.
I heard that. You bitch. I heard that.
I'm kidding. So here's the thing. I feel like when you see the Big Brother house. And all they hear is, this is Big Brother. And then it's kind of like that, isn't it? Just hear the voice. You can't see anyone.
Yeah. If I was your Big Brother, your parents would have had one hell of a gap.
It's true. They also would have broken possibly several laws in the process of having you as a child. Let's not dwell on that too much.
That's just rudeness about Ray and Linda. How dare you?
What?
Bloody nothing. How dare you? Anyway, Chantal,
please tell me the ghostly voice of Russ.
The ghostly is right. Chantal, have you got your heating? So please tell me.
No, my heating engineer came yesterday. I need a new pump. No jokes, please. I need a new pump. It is now on order, and I will hopefully be back up and running by the 29th of December. But it's still a little on the chilly side, so I've just got a little bit of
a little on the chilly side. I don't know how you must be absolutely frozen solid. You poor
No, it's not too bad. It's about 9 degrees. I know you haven't been outside today, but it's about 9 degrees, so it's definitely not as cold as it was this time last week.
Been outside.
You know, though, Chantal, if you survived last week, you definitely need to think to yourself, you've overcome the worst of it for now. So,
other than my bank
have you got the family coming around for Christmas, or is someone else?
No, family not coming for Christmas. We're going to my brother's for the day.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Don't forget to drink. Chances, don't forget to nick some of those lovely mugs.
Need to get mugs.
For me and Phil. Just don't get mad. Say a dozen of each.
I'm very sorry.
There'll be quite a few mugs involved on my Christmas day as well. I can tell you.
My Christmas day, it now looks like it may not even happen. It now got so horrendous. Anyway, it's just a day. The only way I can get through what is going on, it's like the battle of the bloody Somme out here, is and there's no disrespect to any families who lost. Well, it would have been a long time ago.
And we missed our Christmas drinks this week, so we had no little
I know. I have missed so much stuff. There were two things I was hugely looking forward to. We were having the Friday. It was not my idea, naturally, because it's a good idea, so it's not one of mine. It was we were getting together at BAFTA, courtesy of Chantal, and it was the Friday gang, which was going to be so lovely. I was so looking forward to that. And the other thing that gutted me is that one of my best mates, Ray Gelato, does a week-long residency at Ronnie Scott's throughout Christmas. We'd all booked to go as Ray's guests because we, our little gang together, our secret cigar trio, etc. And of course, I couldn't go, and it was a stormer of a night. And there you go. Plus, I've had to cancel all the other shows, plus the BBC. Plus, what else? No. Like so many the whole thing. The week is just like. But what I love, Chantal, is people go. Well, no, I can't. I've cancelled everything. I'm at home. I can just about move. Is our meeting going ahead? No. What? I've had 3 different meetings. I'm not naming any of them. 3 different people are going. No, obviously our meeting is not going ahead. 1, I can hardly move. 2, I can't stop coughing. But 3, why would you want to see someone who's tested positive for COVID? Are you mad? I left the last bit out about "Are you mad?" But
I was going to say, I'm guessing there was an extra word in there somewhere along the lines. But anyway,
precisely. Very probably,
completely right.
Totally
now, do you know what would cheer you up, Russell?
Eva Green.
All right. Do you know what else? What other than Eva Green would cheer you up? Is a bit of this. There you go. Indeed, we do love TV, and thankfully, Chantal Rickards is on hand to give us some Christmas inspiration, I suppose, or I hope. Now, Chantal, what on earth have you found, and what should we be looking out for at this festive time of year?
Well, this is it. I mean, everybody's got to go out and buy the Radio Times. If you don't buy the Radio Times at any other time of the year, you absolutely have to buy the Radio Times. It's about that thick.
I was going to say, it's like the size of a phone book now, isn't it?
It's the size of a phone book. It's unbelievable. Every special is on. Got to watch them all. I mean, it's basically there is too much choice. It's incredibly difficult to work out what to watch and what not to watch. But just go for all your Christmas favorites because everybody's got them. And if you haven't got any Christmas favorites, then I've got a whole load of new stuff that you can curl up on the sofa with, or Russ can go to bed with, or get the iPad. Just plug it in, put it on your bed, Russ. You can hide under the duvet and watch. I can't
do that. I'm very odd. I can't eat in bed and I can't watch TV in bed. I've got to be up.
What? I do nearly all my TV watching in bed.
It's a mental image that'll seared into my brain, to be perfectly honest with you.
I know. I tell you, I don't mind watching TV in bed, but I agree about not eating in bed. I can't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
No. And
it's hard to know where the napkin ends and the duvet begins. So
in your case, it's all one big
very good.
Imagine if you start wiping your mouth with the pillowcase. That's just revolting.
No, that wouldn't be good. No,
is that not
nobody
the right
wants crumbs in the bed.
I suppose it's not the right. Oh dear.
Yeah. No, I'm a bit like the Princess and the Pea when it comes to crumbs in the bed. It's
with you all the way.
Experience. Yeah, terrible. But
I hate peas as well.
I went to bed early with Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy, which is a strange thing to do. And that's another.
That didn't come out of the trial.
I was going to say that was a trial in itself.
That wasn't.
It was very good, Bum. I like that.
I hear it's great.
Well, it is. And for those that don't know, and which rock have you been living under? For those that don't know, there is a 2-part series on Channel 4 at the moment, which is called Vardy v Rooney. They are both wives of very famous footballers, for those people who are not living in the United Kingdom. And one libeled the other allegedly, but it was found not to be the case. I think everybody knows the results, so that I'm not giving anything away. But Channel 4 have reconstructed the trial. Michael Sheen is the main defense attorney, and Michael Sheen, that we know, lovely Welsh actor, who always plays the parts of well-known people. You remember in Frost Nixon, he played the part of David Frost. In the Chris Tarrant scandal about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, he played the part of Chris Tarrant. He's really brilliant at mimicking other people and taking them off.
I was going to say, he sort of seems to mimic other people's misery, though. So I'm sure he gets some sort of sick thrill from it.
It's a revenue-making niche. It's genius.
It is an absolute niche, because he's the go-to guy.
Kenneth Williams, he was fantastic as Kenneth Williams.
And Kenneth Williams, I'd forgotten that. He's absolutely brilliant.
Very good at that.
Well, here's the defense attorney for Colleen Rooney. So very quickly, there was a big saga, which was about these two women who are known as WAGs. It was called the Wagathon, or Wagatha Christie. Colleen Rooney wanted to know who was leaking private information she had put up on her private WhatsApp group. She whittled it down to one person by sending out lots of false messages and cutting people out each time, and eventually got down to one person she identified as this woman called Rebecca Vardy. Rebecca Vardy said, "It wasn't me, Gov." And so the thing went to court. She took Colleen Rooney to court, and it was in court in the High Court for 2 or 3 weeks. And it's brilliantly well done on Channel 4. You sort of got to watch it. I mean, it's one of those things you sort of hate yourself for watching it, because you shouldn't be sort of delving in other people's.
I'm going to be honest with you, Chantal. That's all that's going through my mind right now, is that I don't want to give it any more air. I mean, I know it's a drama. I know this is not the actual trial now, but it's part of me just thinks, why should I even care?
Well, there is that. But it's
at the same time, I recognise it's quite unprecedented, and it's kind of like a drama.
But you know, Chantal, it's kind of like when you're on the motorway and there's a crash and everybody slows down, going the opposite direction, of which there is no necessity whatsoever. But you're looking and thinking, "Well, thank God that wasn't me."
But I mean, essentially, it's a great courtroom drama, and I mean, you know, lawyers are barristers, particularly QCs in this case. They're very dramatic in how they deliver stuff, and so it's played out like a thriller. And although you know the ending, you think, "Oh my God, I can see why the judge got to the final judgment." It is worth watching. I have to tell you. Yeah, I think it'll be up for lots of awards probably this time next year.
Do they portray the two main protagonists, the two women?
Yes, the two actresses that I didn't really know, which actually is rather good. So because they're sort of new to the screen, that they become more believable, because you don't go, "Oh, that's the girl in EastEnders," or "That's the girl in Neighbours." So it's sort of you take them on board as real characters. But I would watch it. I mean, if you've got nothing else to watch and you like a good courtroom drama, this
nothing.
is it.
Absolutely.
No. If you hit there is going to be a documentary series coming.
I can't tell you the number of movies I've got through. And I have to say, Chantal, and I look at them and I go, who the hell signed this crap off? It just, you know, it must have cost a fortune. And you think, this is just so terrible. And the stuff I'm really liking are the Spanish movies, because they're really, oh my God.
I know. Well, we must get we ought to put up a list of the Spanish movies you've identified, because that's definitely niche viewing for some. But I mean,
they're really, really good.
They sound great.
Wow, they're brilliantly done. Okie dokes. Enough for me.
Okay, so something that you've got to watch, which Americans will not get. Apologies to the Americans watching, because they will never have been to Bradford. And you sort of need to understand the British comedic sensibilities. And it's a documentary. It's an hour and 35. It's called A Bunch of Amateurs. And it's about the Bradford, basically, Cine Club. It's for film enthusiasts. It's been going since 1932, and it's a documentary about the dozen people who are the last members of the Bradford Cine Club, which is called the Bradford Amateur Filmmakers Club. And basically, it is just a beautiful documentary about British people at their best. Most of these members are in their 80s. They're still sort of trying to create wonderful bits of cinema, but frankly, the whole thing is ludicrous. It's laugh out loud funny, and it's not supposed to be. And it's just a beautiful sort of passionate postcard love letter to people whose enthusiasm and passion knows no bounds, but also don't play up in front of the camera. It's absolutely extraordinary. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is unheard of.
That's, I was going to say, that's very rare. Good grief.
Unheard of. And that's by both critics and the audience. So when you've got two 100%ers, you know that you're onto something. And it's very sweet and very gentle and very British, and I'm sure will win lots of awards. It's on the long list for the BAFTA Awards. And BAFTA members are all phoning each other saying, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So it's definitely worth watching. It's on the BBC. It's also, I think, in cinema at the moment. Yes, I'm almost sure that it is. And it's called A Bunch of Amateurs, and it's got to be watched. It's an hour and 35 minutes of just glorious British fun and nonsense, and makes you want to join the Bradford Cine Club. But it's lovely. Yeah.
So where does that element then, when it's not supposed to be funny, where does that element of it is funny come into it though? I don't. Is it just sort of satirical, but without meaning to?
No, because it's not really satire, because you just laugh. You don't laugh at them so much as laugh with them, and they don't realise how funny they are. I mean, I quite like the northern sense of fun, and that actually it's not played in such a way that it's arch. You just feel as though somebody's just pulled the curtain back, and these are completely sweet, slightly eccentric British people whose lives you would never normally see other than a documentary maker who's crafted this so beautifully.
Okay, so it sounds like, if I've got this right, it sounds a little bit like it could relate to, take someone like Paul O'Grady, for example. He always says the reason why he has had such a comic streak is because he was always surrounded by people who are naturally hilarious to observe without them meaning to be funny. Is it that kind of thing?
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. And they're very passionate about their craft, but for outsiders, you'll just go, they're all...
What the hell is this?
But it's very sweet and really worth watching, and leaves you with lots of sort of feel-good moments and beautiful pathos written into the documentary. So it's worth it. It probably cost about £5 bob to make, but it's been very, very well made.
Excellent. Very much the budget of our programme.
Yes, exactly, the budget of our programme. Then I found actually a good documentary to watch on Netflix called The Volcano. I know nothing about volcanoes. I mean, it is about the volcanic eruption in 2019 on something called White Island, which is off the coast of New Zealand. And it's one of those sort of rescue documentaries with lots of interviews of people who were involved in this horrific volcanic explosion. 47 tourists were visiting the island. They've got some really interesting characters in it. There's the helicopter pilot, and it was his very first trip as a solo helicopter pilot. It's got the rescue workers who broke all the rules. There were lots of protocols laid down, and they said, to hell with this, we're not landing at the airport, we're flying straight to the hospital. I mean, it's extraordinary moments of heroism. Sadness as well, because obviously it was very tragic, lives were lost, but it's incredibly good. And if you liked things like The Rescue, which was about the 13 young men in Thailand who were rescued in a cave, which did really well. It's that sort of documentary, but it does make you realise that Mother Nature fights back sometimes. And it's
not docudrama, is this real footage?
No, it's a documentary, yeah. But Mother Nature is not to be toyed with, I can tell you. But it's a very well-made drama. It's been extremely well reviewed, and it's worth a watch if you like that sort of thing. It's, some of the ending is happy when you find out who survived and who hasn't, but clearly for other people, the ending was very, very tragic.
There's some amazing footage. There's some amazing footage where they're all having a wonderful day, and the sky's kind of blue, and they're on the boat and having a nice time. I haven't watched the documentary, by the way. And then this thing erupts out of nowhere, and they're on the boat. And you think, well, they're miles away. Well, what are they getting into a 2 and 8 for? And they go, get inside. And then everything starts raining down on this little pleasure boat. And thank goodness they've gone inside to the main sort of lounge cabin area. And you think, wow, that is rough. But you don't want to mess with nature.
No.
There you go.
I mean, that's why the
Absolutely
footage
right.
is so good. Yeah, the footage is so good because everybody had a camera phone with them. So, you know, in the old days, we would never have had footage of these disasters. But of course, now, every time there is a natural disaster, the first thing you see is footage that's been supplied by the people who are involved in it. So the footage is exceptional, frightening, but
So you
it's
see,
been...
the only problem I have with that now, and I don't know about you, but especially as we now enter into this world of deep fake, right? So anyone doesn't know what deep fake is, by the way, it's the use of technology to create something to make it appear like it actually happened when it probably didn't. In other words, using deep fake, a lot of the time someone can be superimposed into a situation where they weren't even there.
Indeed.
And so the thing that worries me now is we're sort of entering this realm of how the hell are we going to be able to tell what's genuine and what's not?
This is so interesting. Now,
and I really worry about it because I've said this before. I actually think if you look at it like this, look at how courtrooms rely on footage as evidence. That will become a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Well, here's the modern dilemma. I was watching last night. A dear friend of mine is called Jim Meskimen, and you may know him, Chantal. He lives in Los Angeles. He's probably one of the best. He's an actor. He's been in everything. You name it, he's been in every single series that we've ever talked about. And he's a brilliant, brilliant impressionist. And we became chums. And in fact, the first time we met, he came over to Shirley Green's house. We'd arranged through a mutual party. By pure, this is life going mad. Jim Meskimen's mum is Mrs. Cunningham from Happy Days, Marion Ross.
Oh. Yes.
And by pure chance, we didn't know where to meet. We'd never met before. It'd been set up by like an agent just to see if we could get on. And he says, "Where are you staying?" I said, "I'm staying in a place called Woodland Hills." And there's a pause. He went, "You serious?" "Yeah." "What road?" So I said the road. Jim Meskimen's mum lived 2 doors up from Shirley Green on the same street. So this was just like the weirdest thing. But here's even weirder. Then I'll come back to your point. He'd looked me up, but he'd got the wrong Russell Kane. He was dreading meeting me, and he didn't want to take the meeting.
The right one.
And then and people still dread to meet me, and if they saw me now, they'd dread me even more. So as I walked down Shirley Green's, the late Shirley Green's garden path to let him in, sort of thing, I could see he was completely puzzled because clearly I looked nothing like the comedian Russell Kane. Anyway, we've been friends ever since. He's a lovely, lovely man. And there's another brilliant impressionist who many of you may know called Frank Caliendo. And the two of them did a thing with Jim and Frank, this hour-long conversation about the art of impressionists. It's brand new. It only came out this week. And one of the things that they both get asked to do is this deep fake. And what they get asked to do, and this is the area where it gets very, very murky, and both of them have made the right decision. They would say, now we're talking huge sums of money. We're not talking about a few grand. We're talking with back-end deals. Some of these deals are worth millions. And they'd say, would you be Morgan Freeman? So they can both do brilliant voices. And what they would then do is fake up a Morgan Freeman, for example, or somebody else in an advert. And both Frank Caliendo, please look them up, they're just magnificent, and Jim Meskimen both said, no, we're not doing this because it's illegal. You're taking the essence of, let's say, you're going to pretend to be Chantal Rickards. You haven't asked Chantal Rickards permission. You're going to use her voice. You're going to deep fake it so it looks like it's Chantal Rickards, and you're selling a product. Or you're promoting something.
Legally, what the lawyers of say.
I'll tell you exactly where I'll tell you exactly where there's the people with the most known voices. Morgan Freeman is one, and I've forgotten who the other singer. Tom Waits is another. They've had to do enormous legal work around the infringement of their voice or the likeness of their voice. And I mean, I saw an advert. It was who did it? Sandro Manetti. I think it was Sandro Manetti. He came over with his film. It's an English guy. He's done pretty well out in LA. I'm sure you know Sandro. And
no, not Sandra Manetti, who's on the board of BAFTA.
yes, that one, yes,
okay.
that one. And he did this thing where they got Bruce Willis to be in this advert. Well, it's not Bruce Willis at all. But the time they deep faked it, it was Bruce Willis. Wow. I just think it's completely dishonest.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, it should be stopped quite clearly because it's not on.
100% it shouldn't be allowed. Literally, to me, it is no different to, you know how people used to get really grumpy about piracy and copyrights way back when there were VHSs and things like that.
Sure.
I don't know why on earth it's not treated exactly the same way.
Well, it will be, but they've got to, because, you know, sometimes this might be, oh yeah, I mean, when they said to Jim Meskin, they said, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a demonstration. It'll only be in the university lecture." Yeah. And he went, "I don't think so."
No. Well, if you remember, we talked about that. The documentary about the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and each of the characters they were deep fake characters. So they basically were using faces that didn't exist, but the bodies were the bodies of the real people. So they were trying to make it more realistic for people, but without identifying them. Well, that's used for good, but the other flip side of that is that also it can be used for bad as well. So they're going to have to tie up the legalities. And they'll have to put things on screen to say this is an AI character, because otherwise we're not going to understand anything about what is real any longer. Wow.
It is very, very dangerous, because Jim did some work. He said just to demonstrate how it could work, but it explained it was him, and it explained it was using deep fake, right? And his face morphs.
Yes,
quite
that's
incredible to watch. Quite incredible.
Well, Russ, by the time it really takes hold, that our generation will have moved on, and it'll be Phil's generation that's going to have to sort this conundrum out.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry about that.
It's quite all right. You know, I'm going to try if I can. I don't know whether or not if I've successfully done this, but if not, deep fake has actually been around a lot longer than we think it has. It's only really sort of come to prominence, I'd say, in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But the truth is that it's been around for quite a while. And there was an advert that was done, I don't know how many years ago, but it was for a good reason, obviously. But all the same, it still was the same thing. It was to highlight prostate cancer. Yeah. And it was done with Bob Monkhouse, the late great Bob Monkhouse, 4 years after he died. And the way they achieved it...
This was Marcel Noble, who's a very lovely friend of mine. Marcel did this. So
the way they did this was that there was footage that was played of Bob in various shows that he'd done.
Yeah.
An impersonator, if you say it was Marcel, who did the voice. And what you do is you see Bob Monkhouse walking by his own gravestone, saying, 4 years since this disease took me, don't you fall subject to it as well, blah, blah, blah. And you would be forgiven for thinking Bob Monkhouse recorded it before he died. He did.
Extraordinary.
I really, really recommend having a look for it online. I can't play the clip now. I did try. I haven't been able to make it work, I'm afraid. But even so, do a search on YouTube. I highly recommend just watching it, because to give you a real understanding of what deep fake is, do a search for Bob Monkhouse prostate cancer advert, and it will come up. What you see is not Bob Monkhouse. It's software that's made it do that.
It's the most incredibly powerful thing. It's a number of years ago. And Marcel Noble, who now just travels the world taking photos, is the loveliest man. We had lunch a couple of months back. And he put this thing together, and you could not believe it wasn't Bob Monkhouse. I didn't understand, because I think I went to a meeting once, or it was a presentation. I said, "How did you get Bob Monkhouse to do this?" And they said, "Well, because I assumed he'd done it before he died, and none of it. It's absolutely extraordinary. It's extraordinary. I'll find it for you, Phil.
Okay, good. Well, yes, I'd be interested to see it.
I have found it. I should say I have found it on YouTube. I know it is there. I just couldn't bring the clip to you, I'm afraid. So.
Right. Okay.
I'll find it.
We'll look out for it. How interesting. Very interesting. Hey ho. And then briefly, if you're looking for a good drama and you've got Disney Plus, and if you haven't got Disney Plus, get a week's free Disney Plus and then bin it. If you only want to spend a week on it. I'm
sure that's the reason why they're dishing out for a week for free.
Disney Plus has got the new Steve Carell series. Steve Carell, the American actor who really started out life as a comedy actor and has now moved into much more serious drama. And Steve Carell,
I don't know if I could watch him in something serious. I still think of him as comic.
Well, he plays the part of a psychiatrist, very good psychiatrist based in New York. A patient comes to him, says he has issues. The patient wants to take the therapy forward. Cut to Steve Carell gets kidnapped overnight, finds himself waking up the following morning with a chain around his ankle, and he has been captured by his patient who wants 24/7 therapy. Turns out that his patient is a serial killer. And the story goes from there. So I'm not going to spoil it.
And Chantel, what row broke out about? What woke row broke out about this?
What woke row broke?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
And it's interesting. And Phil, I'm waiting to see Phil's little face.
Ooh.
Steve Carell is not Jewish. Steve Carell portrays a Jewish psychiatrist. Yeah. And then people are saying, well, hang on. Whoa, hang on a minute. What? And I'm like, what the hell is an actor? Who gives a good goddamn? You know, it's as long as you don't have, I don't know, as long as you don't have Ray Gelato pretending to be Louis Armstrong in a biopic, I get that. It would be ridiculous. But everyone's itching to get upset about nothing. Steve Carell's an actor. He's acting, for Christ's sake. Shut up. Move on. But no, would they let it go? No. And I have to tell you, by the way, it wasn't like a Jewish lobby doing this. It was the classic example of let's be offended on behalf of somebody else that's nothing to do with us. And it's like, shut up. No one else is complaining. Just the troublemakers. As ever.
Can we? I think I may have done this Bob Monkhouse thing. Shall we have a quick watch and see if we can see this?
Brilliant.
Just when you thought it was safe to turn on your TV again, here I am.
Gosh, 4 years already. Doesn't time fly? I wanted to die like my father, quietly in his sleep, not screaming and terrified like his passengers.
The man's accident prone.
I can still hear the screams. What killed me kills 1 man per hour in Britain. That's even more than my wife's cooking. Let's face it, as a comedian, I died many deaths. Prostate cancer, I don't recommend. I'd have paid good money to stay out of here. What's it worth to you?
I mean, it is absolutely extraordinary when you know that never once featured Bob Monkhouse. What it does is it's. I think what they did was they said my memory serves me right from the time when this advert was put together. Voice impressionist, so obviously he never said anything. Then there was also, I think they said it was a stunt double for a lot of the actual moving around. So in terms of sort of like when you see the back of him or what have you, that's obviously not footage of Bob Monkhouse. Yeah. The close-up is where you see sort of footage of Bob Monkhouse from one of his other shows or something like that. And then that is where you sort of get him involved. But he's not actually saying what he's saying. And it's all this early stage of deep fake that brought that advert
that's old,
to reality.
What year was that?
I think.
Yeah. What year was that? What year was that?
Well, he must have been 10 years ago.
Oh my God! I think Bob Monkhouse. I'm fairly sure Bob Monkhouse died in 2003.
Oh, good Lord!
I think he did. Let me just double check.
He died a long time ago. Because I know, because when I went to the talk about this, it was ages and ages.
Bob Monkhouse died in 2003.
Wow.
Now hang on. Now this is really creepy. Good Lord.
Come on.
It's almost crumbs to the date. He died on the 29th of December 2003.
Good Lord.
So 19 years ago.
A comedy god.
Totally. Totally and utterly. That's it for this show. That's it for this year. I know. We're not doing next Friday, are we? Well, I'm not doing next Friday.
No, everyone will be back. we'll be back. May I thank everybody? May I thank Phil so sincerely? May I thank Chantel? So it's really the reason I wanted to be here. So thank you both. And most of all, to thank everybody watching and listening all over the world. We'll be back in the new year. Have a wonderful Christmas, a great holiday season. And bye-bye.
Bye. Happy Christmas. Happy holidays.